Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. During his 14-year NHL career, Pavel Datsyuk was known as one of the smartest, talented and most consistent players across the entire league. Not only would he have a deke named after him and pull off moves during a game that most players wouldn't even attempt in practice, the Magic Man's lengthy tenure in the best league in the world would see him earn a number of awards, as he lifted a pair of Stanley Cup Championships, 3 Selke trophies, 4 Lady Byng trophies, and was named a 4-time NHL All-Star. Oh, and he also scored 918 points in 953 regular season games, as well as 113 points in 157 playoff games too. So yeah, the guy was a pretty good hockey player. Though he spent much of his career putting on a show in North America, it may surprise you to discover that it's already been half a decade since Pavel Datsyuk last suited up in a Detroit Red Wings uniform. However, that doesn't mean his long and successful playing career has also come to an end. In fact, the Russian forward has spent the last 5 years of his career playing much closer to home in the KHL, where he has continued to light the lamp and get his hands on several more awards well into his early 40s. Given that it's been such a long time since he last graced the NHL, and given that he's continued his impressive play well into his twilight years, I figured that it would be worth delving deeper into what the Magic Man has been up to recently, and explore just how successful his time across the pond has really been. So in today's video, join me as we take a look at Pavel Datsyuk's KHL adventures. Let us begin our journey on June 18th, 2016, when Russian forward Pavel Datsyuk, who had scored 49 points in 66 games during the 15-16 NHL season, announced that he would not be returning to Detroit's roster for the following 16-17 season, as he would instead be retiring from the NHL and continuing his career back home in Russia. During a press conference at his hockey camp, the 37-year-old expressed how leaving Detroit was a tough decision for him to make, and how he knew he had put the Red Wings in a difficult position since his $7.5 million salary would still count against the team's cap hit for the upcoming season, but ultimately, he felt that it was time to head home. Though some fans may have been surprised by this announcement, given that he was still playing at a pretty high level, Datsyuk had contemplated leaving the NHL for a number of years before his eventual decision, an idea that was primarily brought about due to him being separated from his wife and teenage daughter, who were still living in Russia while he was playing overseas. In fact, Datsyuk came to his final decision after he had taken a brief vacation with his family following a bronze medal win with Team Russia at the 2016 World Championships, where he was able to relax, clear his head, and weigh up all of his options without thinking too emotionally. Despite several members of the Red Wings organisation expressing their desire for him to stay, and with them being somewhat disappointed by his choice, the team fully supported his decision and wished him nothing but the best moving forwards. Not the outcome that most Detroit fans would have liked, I'm sure, but it's certainly an understandable one given the circumstances. Less than 3 weeks after this announcement, Datsyuk put pen to paper on a new deal back home, as he signed a 2-year contract with the KHL's SKA St. Petersburg on July 8, 2016. So after nearly a decade and a half in Hockeytown, the Magic Man was taking his talents back across the pond and joining one of Russia's top teams for the foreseeable future. Though he would no longer be playing in the best league in the world, the veteran forward would still find plenty of success over the coming years. The 16-17 season would see Datsyuk take to the ice with St. Petersburg for his debut year with the team, and suit up in the KHL for just the second time in his career. Though he hadn't played a full season in Russia since the 04-05 lockout, the 38-year-old was given a hero's welcome, as he was named captain of SKA's roster immediately upon his arrival. Interestingly though, Datsyuk was given the captaincy despite the team's previous captain still being a member of the roster. And who was SKA's previous captain, I hear you ask? Well, none other than fellow countryman and former NHL superstar Ilya Kovalchuk. In fact, Kovalchuk would continue to play for St. Petersburg for another 2 years after Datsyuk's arrival, and instead serve as an alternate captain on the team before returning to the NHL in 2018. Guy, hope he didn't mind giving up the C on his jersey, because I can imagine how awkward that locker room must have been if he did. But I digress. Having joined St. Petersburg's roster, Datsyuk would waste little time making a strong first impression back home, as he would finish the year with 12 goals and 34 points in 44 games, while also posting a plus-minus of +20. Not only would these numbers earn him a place at the KHL All-Star Game, they would also help SKA punch their ticket to the 2017 Gagarin Cup playoffs as the second seed in the Western Conference. Though he would end up playing just 7 of his team's 18 games that postseason due to suffering from injuries, the Magic Man certainly made an impact when he was in the lineup, as he scored 8 points and somehow racked up 27 penalty minutes in that span, which for a player like Datsyuk, who has always been known as a gentleman on the ice, is pretty surprising to say the least. In fact, Datsyuk's scoring numbers would help St. Petersburg go all the way to the final, where they defeated Metallurg Magnitogorsk in 5 games, and clinched the 2017 Gagarin Cup. So in just his first season back home, Pavel Datsyuk had lifted a KHL championship, and had led SKA to their second Gagarin Cup in the last 3 seasons. This victory also meant that Datsyuk had won a playoff championship in each of Russia's top domestic leagues during his career, as he won the Russian Super League championship with Dynamo Moscow during the 04-05 lockout. Add to that his pair of Stanley Cups, and the guy sure knew how to win, eh folks? Though he would be unable to repeat this success in each of the next 4 years, the Russian forward wasn't done adding to his trophy cabinet just yet. The 17-18 KHL season would see Datsyuk return to St. Petersburg's roster and look to pick up right where he left off during his sophomore year on the team. Despite recently celebrating his 39th birthday, the former 6th-round draft pick showed no signs of slowing down anytime soon, as he scored 8 goals and 35 points in just 37 regular season games. Though he would score 1 more point in 7 less games compared to the season prior, Datsyuk's greatest achievement that year would come during a month-long trip overseas. During the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea, Datsyuk would suit up with the Olympic athletes from Russia team, serve as the captain of the roster, and though he would be unable to score a single goal at the competition, he would still register 6 points in 6 games to help Russia go all the way and clinch the Olympic gold medal. Not only would his point-per-game performance earn him one of the greatest awards the sport has to offer, and secure him a place on the tournament's all-star team, this victory also made Pavel Datsyuk the newest member of the Triple Gold Club, a select group of hockey players who have all won a Stanley Cup Championship, an Olympic gold medal, and a World Championship gold medal during their careers. As it stands right now, there are only 29 players in this club at the time of this recording, so if you didn't think that Datsyuk's career was incredible before, you certainly should now. Having returned to his homeland as a champion once again, Datsyuk would spend the rest of the year in St. Petersburg, continue to register strong scoring numbers, and help SKA finish the season as the top team in the entire KHL, thanks to posting a 47-5-4 record in 56 regular season games. Unfortunately though, the defending champions would be unable to go all the way once again, as Datsyuk scored 7 points in 15 playoff games, before SKA were eliminated in the Western Conference Finals by CSKA Moscow. With his 2-year contract coming to an end, and having captained the team during their most successful period in the KHL era, Datsyuk decided that he wanted to play with St. Petersburg for another season, as on April 17, 2018, the Magic Man signed a 1-year contract extension with SKA. So after winning a Gagarin Cup Championship and an Olympic gold medal during his first 2 years back home, Datsyuk was sticking around the team for a little while longer. However, this contract would end up being his last with the organisation. The 18-19 season would see Datsyuk take to the ice with SKA once again, and somehow find a way to play even better than his prior few years back home. Thanks to suiting up in at least 10 more games than either of his previous 2 seasons, the 40-year-old forward would register his most productive year in the KHL to date, as he scored 12 goals and 42 points in 54 games. In fact, this would be Datsuk's highest scoring season while playing in Russia's top domestic league throughout his entire career, including both before and after his time in the NHL, as well as his performance during the various lockouts too. Oh, and he also registered a +24, which was his greatest plus-minus in that span too, just in case his scoring numbers weren't impressive enough for you, you know. Despite this improved production though, Datsyuk didn't receive an invite to the KHL All-Star Game for the 2nd year in a row, which seems a little strange to me given that he scored at nearly a point per game pace the year prior and registered career-high numbers that season, but I digress. This standout performance would help SKA secure the 2nd seed in the Western Conference and a place in the Gagarin Cup playoffs, but after notching 7 points in 12 postseason games, St. Petersburg were unable to get their hands on another championship, as they were once again knocked out in the conference finals by CSKA Moscow. Once his 3rd year with St. Petersburg had concluded, Datsyuk decided that it was time to depart from the organisation, as he informed SKA that he would not be re-signing with the team for the upcoming season. Having left the only KHL team he had played for since returning home, and with him showing no desire to call it a day on his career, fans began to wonder where Datsyuk would end up next. In fact, shortly after his departure from SKA, a rumour began to circulate suggesting that Datsyuk may return to the NHL and reunite with the Detroit Red Wings at 41 years old. However, this speculation was quickly put to rest on June 5th, 2019, as Datsyuk signed a 1-year contract with his hometown KHL team, Avtomobilist Yekaterinburg. So after several seasons in St. Petersburg and some impressive awards to show for it, Datsyuk was heading from west to east in order to spend the latter part of his career back where it all began. Though some might have expected this contract to be his swan song, the Russian forward wasn't calling it a day anytime soon. The 2019-20 KHL season would see Datsyuk suit up with Yekaterinburg for the first time in 2 decades and look to make a strong first impression during his debut year back home. Unfortunately though, the ageing forward's triumphant return wasn't as successful as he was hoping for, as he took a notable step back in his production compared to years past. In fact, Datsyuk would end up notching just 5 goals and 22 points in 42 games, his lowest single-season numbers since his previous tenure with the organisation as a 21-year-old, and even then he only played 15 games with the team that year. Now in Datsuk's defence, he did spend a notable portion of the season out of the lineup due to injuries, but considering he played a similar number of games compared to his previous 3 years in the league, and he scored at least 12 less points than any of his seasons in St. Petersburg, it's clear that this wasn't his best showing. That said, he did receive an invitation to the KHL All-Star Game for the first time in 3 years, but he ended up declining the offer and didn't attend the event. Despite his disappointing production back home, Yekaterinburg were able to book their trip to the playoffs by clinching the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, but after Datsyuk scored 4 points in 4 games, Avto were eliminated in the first round of the postseason by Sibir Novosibirsk. At least he ended the year on a high note, right guys? Having failed to make it to the conference finals for the first time since returning to Russia, and having produced his lowest scoring season in 20 years, it seemed as if Datsuk's career might be coming to an end. With his 1-year contract concluding, and with him unable to produce at his previous high level, it seemed only logical that Datsyuk might consider hanging up his skates and calling it a day on his career. However, the Magic Man wasn't done just yet, as on July 10th, 2020, Datsyuk signed a 1-year extension with Avto in order to remain with the team for the upcoming season. So despite his struggles during his debut year back home, Datsyuk had re-signed with Yekaterinburg and would be taking to the ice in his 21st season as a professional hockey player. Thanks to his performance over the coming year, the forward would prove that this deal was money well spent. The recent 2021 KHL season saw Datsyuk rejoin Avto's roster and look to rebound from his disappointing year prior. Wearing the C on his jersey as the new captain of the team, the 42-year-old would show that he still had some gas left in the tank, as he scored 12 goals and 35 points in 51 games. Not only would he match his KHL high for goals scored and register 13 more points in just 8 more games than his first year with the team, these totals also ranked Datsyuk third in scoring on Avto's roster, despite playing noticeably less games than the 2 players above him on the list. This bounce-back performance also helped Yekaterinburg secure another trip to the playoffs as they clinched the 7th seed in the East, but Datsyuk's 3 points in 5 games weren't enough to help the team go on a deep postseason run, as they were knocked out in the first round by the 2nd-seeded Avangard Omsk. Now, as things stand right now, this is where our journey ends at the time of this recording. This means that during his last 5 seasons in the KHL, split between St. Petersburg and Yekaterinburg, Pavel Datsyuk has scored a grand total of 49 goals and 168 points in 229 regular season games, along with 29 points in 43 playoff games too. Not only that, he's also won a Gagarin Cup Championship, an Olympic gold medal, and has been named to the KHL All-Star Game twice, but attended the event once. Pretty good going for a guy in his late 30s and early 40s, eh, folks? With Avto being eliminated in the first round, and with the Gagarin Cup playoffs having just entered the conference final stage, there's still a few weeks to go until the KHL season reaches its conclusion. Since his contract is set to expire at the end of the year, I imagine that Datsyuk will likely do one of 2 things moving forwards. Either he will return to Avto's roster once again, or he will hang up his skates and retire from the sport. If he wants to suit up for another season in the league, then I'm sure Avto would be more than happy to bring him back into the fold, especially given his rebound performance this past year. But considering he will have celebrated his 43rd birthday by the time the 21-22 KHL season rolls around, I also wouldn't be surprised if Datsyuk decided that it was time to call it quits on his career. If you want my opinion on all this, I personally think that Datsyuk will re-sign with Avto and be back for another year with the team, as he is still putting up great numbers. He appears to be very happy where he is right now, and he seems determined to do everything in his power to bring a championship back to his hometown, even if that means playing until his mid-40s. That said, I certainly wouldn't blame him if he decided to take a step back from the game and call it quits on his playing days. I mean, the guy's won practically every award he possibly could, and is also a member of the Triple Gold Club. There's no denying that Pavel Datsyuk has produced one hell of a career. So, will the Magic Man suit up in Yekaterinburg for another season? Will he hang up his skates and call it a day on his career? Or will he decide to throw a curveball and sign elsewhere in the league instead? I guess we'll have to wait and see, folks. And that was a look at Pavel Datsyuk's KHL adventures. What do you guys think about Datsyuk's half-decade stint in Russia? Are you surprised by his performance during the latter years of his career, or do you wish he had played in the NHL for a little while longer? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Connor B, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Jordan Whitehead, Saturn Otaku, Tom from Finland, Twin Sanity Dad, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.